Every newborn in the village arrived with a number behind their eyes. It wasn't written on their skin or whispered by the midwives. It simply was a quiet certainty that settled into the mind the moment the child drew its first breath. A date, day, month, year, clear as a remembered name. The elders called it the knowing. At first, centuries ago, the village tried to pretend it wasn't real. Parents refused to ask, children learned early not to say, but lies rot quickly when time itself is the witness. When a fisherman calmly walked into the sea on the morning he always promised would be his last, the truth hardened into tradition. Now, it was as ordinary as weather. When a child turned 7, they were taught how to speak their date aloud without flinching. When they turned 16, they learned how to plan around it. Careers were chosen by span, marriages by overlap, ambitions trimmed or indulged depending on how far the future stretched. Long dates bred patience. Short ones bred fire. Mara was born on a winter night with snow packed against the doors and silence wrapped around the houses like a held breath. As soon as she could think, she knew 18 rainfall, year 142. She didn't yet know what rainfall meant or what year it was now. But the number lodged itself into her bones, heavy and undeniable. Her mother Ellen saw the stillness in her infant daughter's eyes and understood. She pressed her forehead to Mara's and cried without sound, because Mara's date was close. By the time Mara was 10, she knew exactly how close. She counted years the way other children counted sheep. She measured time in tastes. How many summers of berries? How many winters of stew? She learned to notice small things because small things were what she would keep. Other children avoided her gently, the way one avoids standing too close to a crumbling wall. Not out of cruelty, out of fear that loss might be contagious. Except for Tomas. Tomas had been born knowing his death would come on 3 Emberfall, year 219. So far away it felt imaginary. He spoke of the future the way travelers spoke of distant cities with excitement, certainty, maps in his head. He sat next to Mara anyway. "You're going to die before you're 20, he said once, not unkindly, while they watched clouds knot themselves into shapes. "Yes," Mara said, "that's not fair." "No," she agreed. "But it's true." Tomas frowned at the sky as if it might apologize. The village had rules for short dates. They weren't written, but everyone knew them. You were not expected to master a trade. You were not pushed to marry. You were allowed encouraged, even to be a little reckless with joy. But there was also an unspoken restraint. Don't get too attached. Don't build something you won't finish. Don't make promises that will outlive you. Mara learned how to walk that narrow bridge. She laughed loudly. She ran until her lungs burned. She memorized songs she'd never sing twice the same way. And she wrote. No one told her to. It simply felt urgent. She filled notebooks with moments. Tomas's crooked smile, her mother's hands smelling of soap and herbs, the way the sun struck the bell tower at dusk. She didn't write for history. She wrote to trap time, just a little, before it escaped her. On the morning of her death date, the village woke early. They always did. Mara dressed herself carefully. She braided her hair the way her mother liked. She kissed Ellen's cheek and held her longer than usual, though neither of them pretended not to know why. Outside, the air smelled like rain. Tomas waited for her by the river, eyes red, jaw tight. "I hate this," he said. "I know you should be scared." "I am," Mara said softly, "but I'm also done." They sat together until the sky darkened and the first drops fell. When the moment came, it wasn't dramatic. Mara's heart simply slowed, as if remembering an appointment it had promised to keep. She leaned into Tomas's shoulder and exhaled. Then she was still. Years passed. Then decades. The village continued. Babies were born. Dates were known. Lives were shaped around inevitability. Tomas lived long enough to become an old man with shaking hands. On his final day 3 Emberfor, year 219, he asked his granddaughter to bring him a box of worn notebooks. "Maras, I want you to read these," he told her. "Not today, over your life, one page at a time." "Why?" she asked. "Because knowing when you die doesn't tell you how to live," Tomas said. But she figured it out. When Tomas died, peacefully, exactly on time. The village mourned him as they always did, but Mara lived on, in ink, in memory, in proof that even when the end is written at the beginning, meaning is something you still get to choose. If you're enjoying our content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you never miss a new video. Your support means a lot.